Okay, hello again. So this time we'll talk about curvilinear perspective. So continue. It's perspective drawing episode 2, and so let's begin. So first, most simple curvilinear perspective is like we take horizon line, have a vanishing point, and so this is like one point perspective, but instead of straight lines we make curved lines. And here can do like do opposite here, like this, like a mirroring. It's one type. Other type will be like this. Same, we start with a very soft very soft curvature, and then curvature became stronger. So on this, in the second type, we move this curve line around. So I make more and more curve, and here we don't need this vertical line. So then, so idea, it's every curve line near to horizon line, they will become more flat, less curve, and eventually became horizon line. So here is this kind of two variation of this one point curve perspective. So this can be like like a wall or a side of the wall, like you're flying somewhere and you can see in the Mobius comic books a lot use this kind of thing. So it's like we have very far away. Okay, later I will show you example. So here what more I want to say about this is how to apply these grids. So like in the previous video I was explaining this idea of grid. It's to use them when we cannot see vanishing points inside our picture plane. So here let's say we have horizon line, and then so start to build this grid with establishing curvature. So you see here, closer to horizon line will be less curve, more far will be more stronger curvature. This. Or when you can show this vanishing point. No, actually you need to show vanishing point. So let's say like this. So and here is like what it can be. It can be like this wall let's say. And here, window. So this kind of perspective grid here is not much about like building complex perspective construction. It's just about more, it's like composition tool for establish your composition in a picture. So you can draw this grid in any place of your picture. It can be vertical and etc. So then will be like a 3 vanishing point. So this is most often used to show some kind of wide angle picture. So it will look like this. So we have this vanishing point with straight lines. So as in the previous tutorial I was tell this kind of vanishing point, it's for z axis. It's for this axis which is represent depth. So we show this space kind of. And this 2 vanishing point, this will be like for instead of x. So 1x here and 1x here, like x left and x right. So same, we have this 2. So instead of horizon line, we have curved horizon line. And and we can kind of follow this horizon line until it's go to vanishing point. From one vanishing point to other vanishing point. So this kind of this wide angle perspective, what we can see with our eye field of view, is like our background, what we not focus in our eye vision. So if you like draw, for example, like interior, you can see this as like if you move your eyes on the left, you can notice this vanishing point. If you move eyes on the right, you can also you can see this convergence on the right side. So then again, what kind of situations can be with these 3 vanishing points. So you always kind of need to find horizon line. So we have this vanishing point here. And then let's say this camera, this I put kind of my camera here. So vanishing points, it's outside, right? But I can draw grid with these curved lines. So again, close to horizon lines, they're more flat, and more far from horizon line is start to curve. Or you can be like more wide angle lens. With this more wide angle lens, this curvature will be stronger. This. And same here in between. to this vanishing point Z. So you see it's let's say here I can draw a box. So vertical lines here is just vertical, and the horizontal lines, they will be curved and have some diminution. This conversion. Same here. Here is just like 1 point perspective box. Here we can see more curvature. Let's see here. Так. So, and you can kind of move around. Let's do one more example. So you can like put horizon line more higher, this vanishing point here. So you see, this way you can build grid. So this, I don't want to stuck too much with rulers and all this draftsman equipment, like when you really measure everything for drawing your perspective absolutely correct. I think there's no reason usually. So why I need grid is for better composition and for like support to establish all objects and space in a more realistic way. So more it's just more you practice, more correct and more quick, more fluent you will be with this. So, and for usual eye, I think nobody will really notice these minor mistakes. So just need to practice enough to see how to play with this, to be not too much stuck on preciseness, and also kind of be in control of you, kind of to trick people with making this three-dimensional illusion. Okay. And also we can say just you know, just like variation, it can be like vertical, a vertical version when we use convergence of vertical lines instead of horizontal. So let's try. So you know, just for experiment. So let's say, again I will do here this vanishing point and draw this curvature. In the middle. And let's here. some boxes for example. Okay, so and next, which is like most correct version of this curvilinear perspective, it's a kind of fish eye or 5-point perspective. So here so again it will be like a vanishing point in the center and 4 vanishing points on each side. So and then so we have this curvature for vertical lines. So it's kind of a mix of vertical and horizontal curve perspective, curvilinear perspective, and this curvilinear for horizontal. And then we have this sun in the middle, in the center. So here is this kind of 180 degree. And yeah, so this type of perspective which make Kim Jung-gi famous with his freehand drawing in a fish eye perspective. He used this kind of grid. So it can be a building. So you see again how it's simple principles when everything higher horizon line kind of became like we're looking from down to up, and everything lower we look from up to down. So here we see road, with this cars, and the people. Here can be these lines on a building. And here we can draw some more buildings. So just when you have this grid, it became very easy. You just follow rules. you follow this established rules and play around. That's why I like perspectives, like when you have this like moderate control, then it's pure fun. You just don't need to overthink it. It's like who enjoy what kind of level of control. I think it's just like when you take it too much care about preciseness and correctness of perspective. It's more for people who making drafts, and this better to do on computer, where you just make all these grids on a computer. You can calculate everything 100% correct. Так, let's make here one more road. Maybe here. Bus. 2-floor bus. And a grid is this way of making this relatively correct. So it looks correct, it's precise enough. And still it's kind of arty thing to do. You just enjoy, play around, draw your stuff. Так. Okay, on the fence, let's draw some fence. Let's say, and a swimming pool. So kind of this, you see how it works. And again, same, like you don't need kind of draw whole this circle. You don't need to have all these vanishing points on your drawing. You can place your camera somewhere like here, for example, and you see. So first of all, how to track this camera location, it's with this cross, with this central vanishing point. So I have this ratio, I can choose it here. So I have this central vanishing point, and then I do both horizontal and vertical curve perspective. So just you need to practice it for a bit. It's like first time it will be slow to draw, then more you do, more easy it's for you, more fluent. It's just kind of this muscle memory. And then again, let's draw, let's say, Hong Kong 2-floor bus. It's my favorite. I was living 1 year in Hong Kong, and it was always fun to ride this, to take this bus, sit on the second floor, and like look this amazing city view around. So I was like once a week I was working in a very far studio, so I need like almost 1 hour in the bus, and I really enjoy to ride this 2-floor bus, to watch this kind of different locations when you go, like, because it's so amazing cyberpunk there in Hong Kong, and you go from cyberpunk, you go to rural area. It's just fantastic. Так, let's do here. So you see how knowledge of perspective, when you using these rules, give you a lot of freedom and opportunity. It's increase your opportunity to play with a highly realistic picture. So you make very precise picture, but still it's very funny. It's a very playful condition. So like now I just doodle. I don't have reference, I don't have any plan. I just sit and doodle, and any simple thing with this grid already look like good planned work, you know. I mean, it looks much better than when you draw a lot of details. You have very good reference, you spend a lot of time, you draw, but you don't have this correct perspective and everything look odd. You can feel kind of this saggy feeling, like something not right, something not in a place. And if you are like creative artist who want to play with this feeling, it's like, oh, I want people feel like this picture of artists who cannot draw perspective, you know. Like some artists, they play with this, they imitate children style, like they can draw a very realistic picture, but they for let's say for atmospheric reason, they want people to feel this kind of childish, kind of like if they watch to children picture, you know, some kind of naive or freedom of children drawing. But it's also a big difference when you do this and like purposefully change, kind of go down from your skill. You purposefully like choose to draw more primitive style. It's always, you can see this artist, he draws this because he cannot use perspective, or he draw like this and also he can use perspective, you know. You can see this because artists who know perspective and draw like a funny style without perspective, he still have this kind of, his brain is more sophisticated. It's kind of in his head will be constructions which is have only people who know perspective. Because like kind of knowledge perspective is not only like make you able to draw box and perspective, it's also change your thinking, it's change your vision and perception. Так, oh, here I draw wrong. Like this. Etc. etc. So let's also, so I will show you now example how also you can convert a view to grid, kind of apply picture to grid. So let's see. I have this photo of Hong Kong. And in this photo is just one point perspective. It's not curvilinear, it's just one point perspective. Так, 1 second. So you can see it's just we have horizon line, we have one point perspective, and this, yeah, okay, it's kind of, yeah, can say it's curvilinear actually here. But it's not a point. You can draw this like one point perspective, use the one point perspective grid. You can use 3-point perspective grid. So you see, because here have this vertical lines, they converge up, and you can apply 3-point perspective or 5-point perspective. So let's show you example. Так. Let's make this 4 variations. And this is important, you know. So when you draw with the grid, you establish grid and then you snap view to your grid. And so, and a grid is kind of important element of making composition. It's an important tool for making composition. So let's first make 3-point perspective without curvature. Так, so I find where's horizon line. Так, what happened? Ah, it's my orange is finished. Так, let's see here. It's like one point with the second point for vertical. So I want to kind of show. Так, ooh, I make it so strong. Так, and here. This, so here vanishing point is for Z, for depth, and vertical here it's Y. Так. So what do we have? So here, this one, here this pedestrians traffic lights. Here's this side. It's very famous, very common minibus in Hong Kong. Так. So here we have this side of house, like a front side. this edge. Also, you can see in my previous stream I have about drawing from photo reference, drawing city view with different grids. So sometimes I'm doing studies just to practice and drawing grids. So like more you draw, like I repeat again and again. More you repeat, more fluent it became for you. And here we have this. Some billboards. Also very famous Hong Kong signature on these billboards. Так. Here some people walk. So you see I make a very strong angle, so it looks very distorted. Which also can be as artist's decision. Так. And also is a good example of reason why people use curvilinear perspective, because it can make you give you a very strong perspective. You can have this very broad view, but in same time it looks more natural without much distortion. Так. So here, this is like, it's okay, it's done. Так, so then let's do this. We will take 5-point perspective. Whoops. So here we will have like this. So I even now I don't look for reference. I just because I already have horizon line and I know where's this central vanishing point. So now I just build this grid 5 vanishing point grid according to this central vanishing point. And again, you can make as much lines as you want. It just should be comfortable for you. And now I do same thing, but snap picture to this grid. So here's this traffic light. So basically you draw from photo, or you draw from live, you go outside and you draw outdoors. You just need to decide which kind of perspective you want to use for this view. What kind of perspective grid will be more suitable for this view. And you play around with this horizon line. So you just want to be sure it will be in the right relationship with composition. Because like if you draw your view and you see it, so it means your horizon line is will be more low, right? Or maybe you want to make your own situation. It's also okay. It's you can see place from one angle but draw it from other angle, and this much easier to do actually when you work with a real place, when you are sit on location, because you have this very much of information. You can see all these details, elements. You can even walk around, can explore it more clearly, and then you can play with it, because first of all it's just about three-dimensional space and three-dimensional object in this three-dimensional space. So it means you need to know coordinates and you need to know form. What kind of form of this object, what kind of relationship, what kind of coordinates in a space these objects have. And if you know, then you can change it, you can play with this. And this is what you make artist. It's how you actually interpret this subject. So I think to draw in view on a location have reason when you change this view. It's you find some interesting maybe point or some interesting idea. Oh, thank you. And you want to show this view through your vision, you know. And when you have this point, when you have this vision which make you interested to draw this view, this is what make difference between you and the camera, because camera will make perfect perspective and very quickly, and why need all this effort, time, and to just trying to be substitute for camera. No. Так. But what camera cannot do? Camera cannot have ideas. Camera cannot have a message which is not programmed in the before. So you can make program kind of to like make some filter in the camera, but like artist, you work. I think artists work with more deep things. He kind of he want to express some image, like kind of experience. Well, at least like me again, like why I always was thinking about drawing on location. I was try to draw my experience, because like when you go somewhere, where you visit some place, you have this kind of special experience, some maybe like discoverer, you know, like wow, you know, you open new land. Maybe somebody already been there and somebody living there and stuff, but for you it's new land. You always hear about world and about different countries, but you never seen yourself, and then you go and see it by your eyes. You experience all this, and how to share this with other people. So you can make song, you can write poem, or you can write story about this, or if you draw, you can draw. And so I draw places of this new land and show them to people, but I don't want to show them place. I use place to share my experience with them. Like I've been in Hong Kong and I draw Hong Kong street, and I want to kind of say with this street, with this picture, I want to say, look, this Hong Kong, so amazing. It's like that. It's not exactly like that, but it's so this place have this kind of taste, this spirit, what you can feel when you are here in Hong Kong. And actually I believe it's all art work this way. We read in books or watch movies because we want to have a new experience. So, what do you think? Have you think about this before? What is your thoughts about that? Cool, interesting. Like I also was talk with my mother about singing songs because in my childhood she always sing different songs, like some of these children songs about animals and I don't know, like maybe some folk songs. And I asked her like kind of what is key for good singing, because how she sing it was even better than original singers who are singing it. It's like, you know, sometimes like people with very good skill, like very good strong voice, you can see like yeah they have very strong skill, but how they sing you don't feel anything. It's just academical but very dry. And I asked her like why some singers sing you can feel something and other singers sing you doesn't feel actually. You don't feel anything. It's like very dry. And she say when she sings a song, she always imagine like a real. Uh, she like imagine some picture in her head. It's like if she like song is some kind of song is a story, so it's something happened with somebody somewhere. So before she can sing this song, she always want to be sure she understand what happened, so she can imagine all the situation. And when she sing, she actually think about her experience, what she have right now. Like, you know, like I don't know, I'm kind of standing near a river, I see this fantastic view, like, you know, like a country road, take me home, kind of this stuff. So you really like it's like nostalgia song, right? So you imagine how what what kind of is to have this nostalgia, like you miss this nature, you miss this time what you was spent here in this nature, and this became this spirit of a song. Oh, nice. Thank you, John Doe. Yeah, I when I draw from observation, I always think about perspective, and like recently, I was a little lazy. I was like again because you know when I draw, I always thinking about this message what I want to show in my picture. So I thinking about composition, about effect what I making in a picture, and I want to be sure I make perspectives that just good enough to make it look correct, to make it look realistic. You know, I don't want to spend like 2 hours to build all these measurements. You know, when you like you make this kind of okay, like you know, like in the books of perspective, we have road, and the road we have electric pole, and you make kind of this thing, then you find middle point. So you need to take ruler with yourself, you know, and then you calculate each. So I don't want it to be like this, when you just stay with ruler and calculate in every centimeter. So sometimes I was just like kind of I don't want to bother much with the grid. But sometimes, like when you draw stairs, for example, or like inclined surface, you should spend some time to be sure perspective will be correct. So sometimes I was using it, sometimes not, but I always consider this horizon line and convergence. So you need to know at least where is the line will go down or going up. But recently I decide it always should be grid, always, because this important part of city, it's this how say, this feeling what you can have only if you make a grid. So this kind of, when you snap objects and space, when you snap it to grid, this very important part of kind of make this feeling of construction. So it feels much more brutal, you know, kind of like, yeah, you look with this strong perspective, with this correct perspective, and you can feel this weight in the space. So now I decide I always use grid. And again, it's like sometimes when it's very easy, you don't need to draw this grid, but more you practice, more this became your second nature. Like Kim Jung Gee again. So he doesn't born with a perspective skill. He was drawing a lot, and then practice making perspective kind of snap into invisible grid, which he already like kind of, you know, when you draw this grid 100 times, couple 100 times, more you draw is better. Then one moment you just feel like, I don't want to spend this time for pencil and this grid. I already can see it. So this is how it works. This happen with any kind of skill, with any kind of technique. Always happen like this. It's called long and short memory. So first you work with your short memory, and then when your brain understands this thing, this information, you every time you need to recall. It's like like this. So you every time you recall, and then finally your brain say, okay, I understand it's important for you. It's like very useful information. So he puts this in a long memory. So now when you're all this information in a long memory, you don't need to think about this anymore. It's happened like subconsciously, like a driving car. First, when you first time you drive car, you kind of think about every step you do. You like kind of like, oh, look in the mirror. Don't forget, look in the mirror. Like look left, right, back. Like check everything. What is your speed? What happened everywhere? So it's kind of you remind yourself to be in control. You need to be consciously in control, and this is very exhausting. But then more you do it, more repeat, and then you can like, you know, like you can talk phone, you can chat with your friends, you can eat, make up and everything, and drive in same time. It's kind of not advice, don't do that, but it's example how it works. It's just after some practice it's going to subconsciousness, and then you don't need to make effort to recall to this technical kind of, to this memory about technique, like step 1, step 2, step 1, step 2. Same everywhere, in the dancing and martial arts. In the music, like play piano and everything. Так. So here you can see what I do. Here is 5-point perspective, and here 5-point perspective. But here horizon line more low, here horizon line more high. So I can put more stuff in here. This on this situation, road was flat already here. It was already on horizon line. So this is how you can play around. With same kind of, with same type of perspective, but you can make different compositions. Так. Here. Pass. Country road, take me home. So interesting. I never been in West Virginia, but but this song is really so cool. It's like everybody can feel this longing to his hometown, especially if he was living in a rural area, maybe visit his grandma and stuff like that. Oh, like also like Totoro. Ah, not Totoro, it was other cartoon. Whisper of Heart. There was girl translate this song to Japanese. So Miyazaki, he kind of also been touched by this song. So art language is universal, and this unite people over the world. Okay. Dun, dun, dun. So also I think it's a thing about every technique. It's not only learn not to how to use it, but how to use it to enjoy process. Because like artists, it's like if you professional artists need to draw a lot, just like crazy, draw no stop, everything, like 12 hours a day and stuff. So if you have this like pipeline or technique which make it fun for you to draw, then you don't tired. You feel exhausted, of course. You need to make breaks and everything. But it's very important to find way how to make it fun. Так, so we have here 5 point for 5 point. Okay, and let's maybe other photo. Let's try other photo for last one. Oh, I have so many photos. This is actually a photo from bus. This I use for my pictures. Так. Okay, let's draw this like view from minibus, from a local bus. Так. So again here I locating vanishing point, like central vanishing point, like about here. Make some couple lines and make my 5 point perspective. I can make stronger. Okay, do it. Так, let's see how can we play with this one. So here on the top. So this much actually it's like at first it may look complicated, but actually it make much easier. All process became much easier and like I say, more fun than if you draw without grid, because it opens a lot of opportunity which you have only if you have grid, if you have this perspective. And it's like a little constructor, like a Lego, when you have these elements and you just play around with them, just make combinations instead of have this headache with figuring out location of every line. You already know all what you need, and then you just play around. So also here, because I do it's like just like example and exercise, I don't much worry about composition, but if I will draw like usual, I will also make couple marks to show placement of all those elements, like where will be a driver and where there will be this view behind. So kind of this, just put a little shade in here because it's hard to see. So here, for example, this like more simple perspective with z-axis go into perspective and vertical line y-axis go into perspective. Here 5-point perspective with a low horizon. Here 5-point perspective with more higher horizon. So just kind of little different situation but same type perspective. And here 5-point perspective inside minibus, like Hong Kong minibus. So here it's all for today, curvilinear perspective grids. See you in the next tutorials. I will talk about how to draw objects in perspective. Also write more comments and share video, and thank you for watching.